Conna Satá Shiv, the first part of this episode will be chatting to dating coach Erika Ettin, so stay tuned for dating tips, best practices, staying resilient, writing up your bio and changing your mindset for the better while dating. After that, I'll be chatting to a blind date I set up, Stephen and Aisling, who will be telling us how they got on, and unfortunately, God love them, they had more than one hiccup on the date. Coming right up is Erika Ettin, a dating coach from the US who runs a dating consultancy website called A Little Nudge. I've been following Erika for a good few years now on Instagram. I've always appreciated her no-nonsense approach. Her clients have access to her via text all the time, so they're looking for advice, as they navigate talking stages. And she puts those screenshots up on her Instagram, so it's top tier entertainment. I recommend checking out that Instagram now. So we have dating coach, author and columnist Erika Ettin, all the way from the US of A. Erika, I feel a little bit starstruck because of how long I have been following your content. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, that's so sweet. My pleasure. I've been looking forward to it.
So you've been famed for no-nonsense dating, your dating advice, which I thoroughly enjoy from all the screenshots that you put up on Instagram. And you're a founder of A Little Nudge, a dating consulting service where you help people hack online dating and basically ultimately find a partner. So tell us a bit about that.
Yeah. So I started my business 13 and a half years ago, believe it or not. It was before Tinder. Yeah. And my background is actually in economics and business. So how does one go from econ to being a dating coach? Good question. So I started online dating myself. I'm going to date myself, but back in 2001. Nobody did online dating. I mean, some people, I did online dating in 2001, but I was like,
what was the dating apps or what was
I know. It was, well, there were no apps, obviously. Smartphones weren't out yet. So it was like Match.com, eHarmony, some of the niche sites like Christian Mingle, Catholic Match, JDate, those were all out. So you're like old school dating sites.
Okay.
And I was just like, this seems cool. I didn't know. So I did it on and off over the years. And because I love a spreadsheet, I put together two things I liked, spreadsheets and online dating, like you do. I started a spreadsheet. Now, initially, I started the spreadsheet so I didn't accidentally write to the same person twice. Because at the time, you had a username. It was like Dating Orange Ireland, not, Erika. So I didn't want to write to that person twice. But then I was like, I can measure stuff in here. What's my response rate? If I write to somebody, what's the probability that that person writes back to me? What's my conversion rate? If that person writes back to me.
Oh my God.
I mean, total nerd, I'm disclosing it now. And so I made little tweaks here and there to see what would improve those rates. Then my friends started asking me for help. Like, what are you doing that I'm not? Help me. So I started writing their profiles and I was really enjoying it and giving them advice. And so in 2011, I quit my job in finance and started A Little Nudge. And so what I do now is part of what I do is coaching, giving people advice, giving people the tools they need to do online dating or date better in general on their own. And then the other part of what I do, as crazy as this sounds, is people outsource the legwork of the online dating to me. And I do that for them to help facilitate their getting to dates that they wouldn't otherwise be on.
In what way? What is the outsourcing? What is the legwork?
I do the messaging for you.
Oh my God. What
oh my
is
God.
that? I didn't know that. Is that not,
I know nobody realizes that, but that's how I started my business. So I do a lot more coaching now than I used to, which I honestly, I really enjoy because I'd rather teach someone how to do it than do it for them. But, some people don't have the time, don't want to make the time, don't have any interest in learning how to do it.
And I know that you do advocate a lot for stop texting beforehand. Just
oh my God, just go
on
a date,
set up a date. Now, I would be quite a big texter, and I think I filter out a lot of men before. Maybe they would have been fine if we met in person. I don't know. But if you're texting the people, is that not
I keep it
your personality?
No, I hear that. It's weird. I'm not going to lie. It's weird. I try to keep it as short as possible. It's so surface level. It's like, oh, where was that picture taken? Oh, I like wine too. Oh, we should meet.
Yeah, you're
it's
not
so
getting
simple.
Your personality out there, really.
I really try to emulate the client. I interview all of my clients in a lot of detail to make sure I can be accurate on their behalf. I try to do their sense of humor, their everything. But again, I keep it so short that, it's
Yeah,
really
okay.
just
Fair enough.
facilitating getting them to the
Your
date.
clients, are they all American?
Not all. I have some, mostly, yes. Um, but I look at the stats sometimes of my Instagram, and London is the fourth most city. So clearly
Oh,
there's a lot of people there.
very good.
Yeah, I have people everywhere, mostly the US, some Europe, some Australia. I mean, English
But you
speaking.
take on clients from everywhere
Yeah, sure.
online, yeah.
Mhm.
And what kind of prices are we looking at here? And there's different
Oh, we're
price
getting right
points.
into it. I love
Yeah,
this.
it's on your website. It's available for people to just go on your website and go and
Yeah,
have a look and
so
see.
so the two options, like I said, the coaching, and then I call the other one digital matchmaking. Coaching, you can book a 40-minute session with me anytime you want. That's $220 US. I have no idea what the conversion is. Um,
Similar, I think.
okay, you can do 4 coaching sessions with me for $9.95, and that gives you the ability to text me in between sessions also, which people really like because let's say you have a quick question here or there. This person said this weird thing. What do I do? Or do you agree with what this means? Or how do I follow up after this date? So, and I'm
Yeah,
like
that's great.
scarily fast at texting back because I have an obsession about unread messages. Anyway, and then the other route, if I'm doing it for you, that's where obviously it gets more expensive because I'm doing all of the work by myself.
Yeah.
So if I manage or do your online dating for you for 3 months, I'll do 2 sites for you, usually Bumble and Hinge, but it can be whatever you want. Plus write your profile, plus send you to get some pictures taken just so we have some good options. That's 6,500.
Okay, right. There's a lot of legwork involved there. Now,
A ton.
the conversion is like, I always think it's similar enough with euro and dollar. So I know in Ireland, a professional matchmaker would
Hmm.
charge, I
Way
think
more than
about,
I do.
yeah, well, I think about 1,200, but in that you would only get set up with three people. And there's been a
Oh,
lot of controversy recently about they're setting you up with anybody at all just so that they
oh
can
yeah.
say that they've done it.
Yeah, no, that's obviously not what I do. I never want people to go on dates just for the sake of going on dates. I never fill a quota. But I will
Yeah.
say, on average, in the 3 months, you're probably going to go on anywhere from, I think the lowest I ever got was maybe 6 dates to, I think the highest I ever got someone was 22 dates. So
In
in
how many months?
three.
That's unreal. That
It
is
is
great.
unreal. It is unreal. And you know what really made me angry since we're talking was at the end. Okay, it was this woman in North Carolina. Okay, she was in her maybe late 50s. She hadn't dated in a while. She had been married for a really long time. I got her an obscene number of dates with like really quality men, and she had the gall at the end of 3 months to be like, "I'm disappointed. I didn't meet my person." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? I gave
What
you
else can
22
you
opportunities.
do?
I
Yeah.
think I think I honestly gave her too many, and it made her, when you're like, and this is not to toot my own horn, but I think she didn't take any of them quite. Maybe she didn't focus on any one of them enough because I gave her too many. I don't know. It was something to think
Well,
about afterwards. But I was
that's kind
like,
of
come on.
the whole thing about the grass is greener. There's always somebody else out there with the apps and whatever. She was maybe feeling that. Now, I
I
went
don't know.
on 55 first dates. That's kind of my shtick.
Woo.
But I have a boyfriend now, so I'm done. So it's
One
all
of the
good.
55.
He was number 55. Lucky number
I, well,
55.
that's why you stopped at 55. I
Yeah.
love that. And it is, I mean, it is a numbers game. I always say if you're going to hit it off with one out of every X number of people, X could be two, X could be 55, X
Yeah.
could be 100. One of my former clients brags to all of her friends that she ended up marrying the 26th date I set her up on. And she said to me, I thought it was going to be 100. This was nothing. And so it's really just reminding yourself that, you know, like I consider I have it on a post-it note up here. I present opportunities. That's my job. I can't make anyone like anyone. I can't make anyone ready for a relationship. I present opportunities.
What's that saying? Like you can bring a horse to
Yeah,
the
you can,
water.
but you can't make them drink.
Yeah. Like, so you can only bring these people together. You can't.
Absolutely. And I can give advice along the way. Even something I posted today was like, Nobody followed up after the first. Well, why don't you follow up after the first date? I can certainly give advice along the way, and I've definitely done that and altered the course of two people by making them less stubborn and just having them reach out and saying like, "I like you. Let's do this again." But no, I can't make anyone do anything.
But it's always kind of the women, is it, that are
Of
saying,
course it
I
is. Come on.
don't, I wouldn't, I'm not a fan of the reaching out. I feel like if the men would do it, if the men wanted to do it, that they would do it. And if they're not reaching out to me, it means that they don't like me. So I would just move on, move
What
on
if they
with
got the
myself.
sense on the date that you weren't into them?
I don't know. I think I'm a jolly enough person that they would. I just don't think
I
that they
understand.
would. And especially because, well, here, obviously drinking is like an Irish cultural thing, and we would go on first dates and have a few drinks. So
Yeah,
things are merry and
I understand.
cordial.
I get it. I like a drink too.
And you said earlier on you're setting them up on Hinge and Bumble mainly. So they're
Generally,
your
yeah.
faves.
I don't know that they're necessarily my favorites, but they're the most popular, at least here. And I think probably in Ireland too, maybe.
No, they definitely are. Tinder would
Yeah.
probably be number one.
Okay, Tinder. Tinder is more popular outside the US.
Oh, really? Okay. Wow.
Yeah. I don't know why.
I suppose I've always found that Hinge and Bumble are probably a bit more serious. Tinder, more people are on Tinder, but maybe it's more sexual, and then Hinge and Bumble would be taken more seriously because you have to fill out the prompts and everything and actually go to effort.
That is true. And I would, if you are looking for something more serious, I would definitely only focus on profiles that are properly filled out or filled out at all. You know, I say this a lot, like lazy profile equals lazy dater. I mean, high correlation between someone who didn't take the time to fill out their profile and their ability to have a conversation and their ability to set up a date. They're just not into it.
And also when people say, oh, I don't really know what to say here, just ask me. And I'm like, do you actually
Lazy.
not have an original thought about yourself? Do you not know anything about yourself?
Well, and it's so interesting. So that's part of what I do too. I write a million profiles every day. Not a million every day, but I've written a million profiles. And sometimes people will self-assess and be like, I know I'm boring. And I'm like, let's stop this now. Like, I don't
Jesus.
care what you tell me you do. I don't care if it's watching TV every night. I don't care what it is. We have to write something. And so there's another expression I'm never going to remember. It's like pulling blood from a turnip or some stupid expression.
Blood from a stone.
A
Is it?
stone.
No.
Okay. I don't know why I said turnip. I thought,
Oh, that's
I
so
thought
niche. A
it
turnip.
was a turnip. Did I make this up? I'm like, doesn't matter. Anyway, sometimes I feel like I'm like a magician doing that because like the input is like, difficult, but I try to make it sound interesting. Like I might ask clients as we're talking, well, what's something, if they can't tell me any hobbies, I might say, well, what's something you want to learn? So at least we can write something like,
Can talk about something.
like aspirational mountain climber. One day I'll start. That's
Nice.
interesting. That's
Yeah.
cute, right? I would write to that person.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like I want to learn how to play the guitar, and then somebody would be like, I play the guitar already, blah blah blah.
Exactly.
Anything at all.
Exactly.
What are your tips for people who are, I suppose, maybe struggling to write about themselves and they're just sitting there in front of their bio?
Really think to yourself, I play this game with a friend of mine. We name our five things, like the five nouns that combination of things could only be us. So for example, my five might be, well, I really like whiskey. Um,
Perfect.
whiskey, puns, crossword puzzles, I don't know, dogs, and dating advice. So
Okay.
those five things are so clearly Erika. So if you can think of a few things that are so clearly you, that's what goes in your profile. So now in Hinge, for example, I might click the prompt, my simple pleasures, and write, an old fashioned, which has whiskey. I might write the New York Times crossword puzzle. I might more specifically write the Thursday New York Times crossword puzzle because that's my favorite day.
Okay.
The more specific, the better. I might
Yeah.
write bourbon instead of whiskey, anything that gets to specifics. And again, if you can't think of stuff, think to yourself, what do I do on a random Tuesday or Wednesday night? What do I find myself doing? What do I do on a Saturday morning? Just really try to get the gears turning.
Yeah. But like they obviously are doing something. So like whether it's
They're doing
walking, going for a
something.
walk, they're cooking, like you're doing
Yeah,
something.
those are
There has to
interesting
be.
enough
Yeah.
things. And so I try to get at that. I ask people what their hidden talents are, if they have any party tricks. Sometimes I'll ask, what do your friends make fun of you about? Sometimes I'll ask, where's your happy place? Sometimes I'll ask, do you have a food that you hate that everyone else loves or that you love that everyone else hates? Do you have a weird food combination? Like, I'll ask anything
Yeah.
to get profile material.
They're funky things. My bio had swipe left if you wear flip-flops on it for the majority of the 3 years I was single because
Okay.
I really fucking hate
You hate
flip-flops.
them that
I
much.
hate them. They're sick. They are
What
sick.
is it? The sound of them? What?
They're going through the toe. Oh, it's sick. And I
So
got
funny.
so many people who just responded to that and like nothing else.
That is so
Just
funny. I usually say no to negativity, but that's hilarious. The only other negative thing I've approved from a client is when I don't know if you know what it is, but when she was like, swipe left if you go to Burning Man, because that is a very divisive
yeah,
festival.
okay, I could understand that. But at least people can chuckle at it and be like,
Exactly.
fair enough. People would reply and say like, "What about sliders though?" And I'd be like, "Sliders are okay."
That's amazing.
And then we'd go have a conversation about footwear before we finally move on.
So, did anyone ever show up on a first date with you in flip-flops?
No, they didn't, thank God.
They were
But
scared. They were scared of you. I love it.
imagine, no, that wouldn't be a common thing to do. It's not, we don't have the weather to wear
All
flip-flops.
right, fair enough.
And you were saying there that like the clients that you have in between your consultations or your sessions,
Mhm.
they'll be texting you. And what do
Yep.
you find is coming up the most? What is the main issue that people have?
The main issue people have is like someone will ask them out on a date, but then not make the actual plans, and they don't know how or when or if to follow up. That's a big one. Or after a first date, you know, the person said, "Yeah, I'd love to do it again," but then like didn't follow up with that. Or do I follow up after a date? Or they said they were going on vacation and would get back in touch, but they didn't. Or it's usually texting. Like it's usually questions about texting.
So I suppose the first one, I like if somebody said, "Oh, I'd love to go on a date," I'd be like, "Oh yeah, me too. I'm free on Thursday and Friday."
Right.
But like, are these people just not giving the man? I'm just gonna say the woman is not going to give the man anything, is it?
Right. That happens a lot. And I have to say, like, at least try to make it easier on them. If they
Mm,
still don't follow up, okay, we know that
mm,
this person doesn't actually want to or doesn't know how to make a plan. Fine. But yeah, let's make it easy on someone. If they ask you out, say, that sounds great. I always like to say, that sounds great. I'm free two days. I'm free Thursday or Sunday. I'll be coming from whatever neighborhood if that helps with planning. Because I know it is a preference of most women who date men that they want the guy to come to them. And I'm great with that preference. I think it's nice. It shows that they want to make it easier for the woman. It shows for safety reasons. It's just a kind gesture. So that way, if you say, I'm coming from fill in the blank neighborhood, and then they pick something in their own backyard, that's rude. So you actually learn
yeah,
a lot of information from that too.
yeah. Okay, no, I get that. And then the second one then was people saying that they want to meet up and then it not actually them not actually reaching out after the first date.
Yeah, so I tell anyone, I don't care your gender or anything. If you had a great time, go ahead and say, I had a great time. Thanks. Like, if the person likes you, they're not going to be turned off by you saying you had a great time. And sometimes a little positive reinforcement does help.
But I would say that that's probably the difference between, like, I could not imagine really an Irish person, like, obviously, sorry, I'm just totally generalizing here, but an Irish person just texting and saying, "Hey, thanks for last night. I had a great time." Like,
Why not?
I don't know, it's a little bit, it's just, I don't know how to explain the difference between Americans and Irish people. The
Well,
Americans are kind of
what you
more,
might see as like, oh my God, I'm desperate. I see as the most confident thing. If you're willing to be like, I had a great time, whatever happens, happens, not saying that, but thinking it, that is such confidence.
I don't
So
know if
are
it's
you telling me I should
desperation.
not text you after this session and tell you had a great time chatting with you? Because I was going to.
No, that's like that would be fine. I just think it's more after the date. I mean, I don't like Americans tend to be a little bit more emotional, and then we're a bit
Perhaps.
more blunt and kind of like, Jesus, like hold on there, like maybe have a bit of a barrier, or we don't talk about those kind of things.
What would
Um,
happen if you did?
yeah, I don't know. Maybe we just need to push on.
I mean, I don't know. Culturally, I don't know. I'm not Irish. I've never lived there, but I don't think it's that like significant. I don't know. I don't think it's that big of a thing to be like, I had a great time. Thanks again.
Yeah. Well, I suppose, yeah, we could change around the text bit. Like, yeah, thanks a million for last night.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
read,
Great.
yeah, but I have a girl here who, when I put up a question box on Instagram earlier on, and she replied. Now it's a bit long, but
Okay. Go
kind
for
of
it.
on this topic. She said, I'm struggling at age 40 to deal with the avoidance and lack of respectful communication from the small
Mm,
dating pool of Irish men. I don't
mm.
entertain it, but how to not lose hope. I attend a relationship counsellor from the UK once monthly, and she would concur that Irish men are mostly avoidant and seem uninterested. What do you do when this is the dating pool you have and you feel you have to work with it because believing you deserve and want better doesn't change the dating pool? I follow Erika too, and I love her no nonsense advice, but sometimes I feel it's great for American culture and not necessarily Irish. Many of my friends concur that Irish men need to almost be persuaded or cajoled into relationships. Help.
Well,
Yes, I know.
I mean, I could never generalize all Irish men, all American men, all any men.
Yeah.
I can say, and I don't want to, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to disregard what she's saying because
Yeah.
that's not what I or invalidate it at all. I will say most people think their own city, country is the worst. And so this to me
Mm.
sounds like another, my country is the worst. I hear that though, and I agree that you deserve somebody who wants to be in a relationship with you, and you deserve somebody who communicates with you accordingly, and you should not settle for less than that. But I truly doubt that every single 100% of Irish men are like that. Just like in any country, in any city, it takes work. I think anyone in the US would tell you the same thing about many people they meet. It
Yeah.
takes a
Mm.
lot of time and effort and work and patience to find the people who you don't have to cajole into responding to you or into being into being in a relationship with you.
Yeah.
So I would say, I don't have any wise words of wisdom except I'm glad you know your worth. I'm glad you know what you will accept and what you won't. I do have to wonder, are you giving people a chance to show you that they can communicate and show you that they plan, or are you ruling them out immediately because they don't follow some script that you think they should know? Because let me tell you, most people are clueless. They have no idea what you want. So,
Yeah. Well, that's true. When I replied to her, I said, obviously I'm going to pass this on to Erica,
mhm.
but to remain hopeful, and that obviously you need to, as you said, I always say it's a numbers game,
It is. It really is.
and try not to get really down. I was at a wedding 2 weeks ago, and a girl who knows me in real life and as the dating orange came over, and she said, since the last time I saw you, which was a month prior, I've been on 3 disastrous dates. And I
Hmm.
started kind of laughing. And then she
Hmm.
said, it's not funny, actually. At some point, I'm going to have to just look at myself and realize I'm the problem. And she's not. She doesn't seem to be the problem at all. Like, there's nothing that I can really say, that she does wrong or whatever. And I said to her, like, absolutely don't be looking at yourself like it is a
No
numbers
way.
game.
And
You
three
need
is
to
nothing.
three in a month, I
Yeah,
suppose.
that's not a lot.
And I think there was a lot obviously before that. But I like it's terrible that people get to a certain amount of first dates, and instead of looking at it as like an interview process between two people, they're then looking at it as, I've been on 10 dates. I'm obviously fucked up. What's wrong with me?
Yeah, that makes me sad too.
It is disappointing.
It is
Um,
disappointing. I wanted
another,
to say one more thing about
oh
the
yeah,
last question. Again, I don't want to invalidate that because I understand how frustrating it can be when people aren't communicating to the level that you want them to or any of that. But I also want to make sure you haven't already decided that every Irishman is bad because then you're going to do everything in your power subconsciously to prove yourself right. And I was on vacation recently, and I met this woman who lives we were in France, but I met this woman who lives in Boston. And, when she asked what I do, obviously all hell breaks loose when people tell me they're dating woes. And she was like, all men in Boston are trash. I'm just trying to enjoy my cooking class here, okay? And so I was like, I had my internal I was like, do I deal with this? Do I say nothing? I'm not at work right now. I don't know if I want to. And I said, do I have permission to give you some feedback? Yeah. I said, are you trash? Because you live in Boston. She goes, well, no. And I said, so it wouldn't be fair for the men to say all women in Boston are trash, right? She's like, true. I said, okay. I said, some people are trashy. What are you going to do? But there are amazing people out there. But once you've chosen to believe that everyone you encounter is, I hate the word trash as it describes people. That's so mean. Once you believe that all men are anything, all people are anything. I mean, in statistics, you can find the data to prove yourself right at every turn. You just have to truly believe that there are good ones out there.
And I would hear that a lot as well. Women saying all men are shit, all men are dicks or whatever, Irish men. But also, a lot of women I know who say this will have, oh, I have this lovely male friend. He's so nice, he
Mhm.
can't find anybody. Or my lovely brother, he's been single for years. But yet, still think that, well, there's nobody for me because all the men are dicks. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's a really good point. Change the mentality. That was part one of my chat with Erika Ettin. Tune in to the next episode for the rest. Next up is my blind date segment. I put up some videos on TikTok offering my matchmaking services and I got people to fill in a matchmaking form, and here we are. The blind date is made up of Stephen and Aisling. Stephen is a 36-year-old engineer from Wicklow who enjoys DIY, surfing, pool and gaming and is looking for a funny, compassionate and creative lady who's a bit silly. Deal breakers are hunters, racists, homophobes, he has a dog and he isn't too pushed on having kids in the future. Aisling is 32 from Dublin working in sustainability. Hobbies include the arts, music festivals, playing the Switch and socialising. She's looking for a kind man who is socially conscious. Deal breakers include right-wingers and political apathy, as she is quite politically active herself. She is also not too pushed on kids. So here we go. So we have Stephen. I thought it was a good fit on paper. What did you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, I would say straight from the get-go, it was spot on for what I was looking for. She was lovely, really easy to talk to. I didn't kind of feel overly nervous, like we were kind of forcing conversation or anything.
You were meant to meet at 7:30 in Mulligan's, wasn't it?
I think it was 7.
Sorry, that was after confusing myself. You were meant to meet at 7. And
Yeah.
Tell us more about that.
Well, that's where the panic set in, because I was double and triple checking. I was like, it's 7 o'clock, and I actually turned up like I want to say half an hour early, and I went somewhere else. So 5 to 7, I was standing outside. I was like, Grant, and then time 7 o'clock came and went. I was like, probably traffic or whatever. And then obviously because we were going through yourself, I couldn't directly be like, where are you? Or she couldn't say, oh, I'm running a few minutes late.
Yeah.
So panic was kind of setting in at about 20 past, and I was like, I was like, this is a disaster. And it was nearly in my head, I was like, this is full circle from me giving you that ghosting story at the very start.
Yeah, like I'd love, yeah, we'll discuss that definitely now in a second. I was only just thinking about that, sure. I was there going into day 2 of a wedding. I was so fucking hungover. And then you text me at whatever it was, 20 past or whatever, being like, oh, she hasn't turned up. And I was like, oh my God. And he has had this happen to him before. And now I fucking set it up and it's happened to him again. I was like, no way, no way.
I was sweating. And then like everyone that was like, I did like a couple of laps at the pub, and I was like, looking at the picture, and I was like, maybe I'm just not seeing it. Maybe I'm just, glazing over people or whatever. But it was when the Olympics were on, so there was a lot of people there that were in groups, and there was no one sitting by themselves. I was like, huh, okay. And then everyone that was nearly walking past me, I was like, oh, hey, Bob, I probably look like a mad thing. But yeah, eventually, like she just rocked up real like nonchalant, was like, oh, hi, you must be Stephen. And I was kind of standing there going, oh God, was like, she totally doesn't realize she's late. And I said, and I was like, were you held up? And she was like, no, you said 7:30. I was like, oh, I thought 7. And then there was that back and forth.
Did anybody take out the messages where it was like, I showed you both?
Yeah. Like, so obviously I've been talking to you and I double checked the message. You were like, no, I definitely said 7. So she went and checked hers. She was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And like, couldn't, like, I'd say, like, I think she turned bright red. But I was like, don't worry about it. Like, once I knew it wasn't like some sort of like, I don't care what time I turn up at, I was like, no, she's fine. She's grand.
She's mortified. God bless her.
Yeah. And I was just relieved then.
So did you get a seat and everything all right?
Yeah, it wasn't like, it was busy, but we ended up sitting at the bar, which ended up being a blessing and a curse, because I think we were on point number 2. Maybe it was point number 1, but a guy came up kind of behind me to get to order points, and then he knocked like his full point all over the two of us. And her phone was on the bar, and like I just out of instinct just grabbed it, and then I was like, I hope she doesn't think I'm like stealing her phone here. No, kind of laughed that off a bit, and then the guy who knocked the point then bought us points, which was lovely.
Like, she's filled me in now she about how soaked she was. You got a good bit of it as well.
Oh yeah,
it was over the two of you.
Yeah, I didn't get it, I think, as bad as her, because it kind of like went across the front of me. I kind of got it a little bit on my legs. But I think more so.
God.
You got it.
What a thing to happen to you on a first date.
Yeah, big time. We definitely, as far as I was concerned, it was like we were hitting it off. She's vegetarian, I'm vegan. And we were having a good discussion about that. And they were talking about bacon fries being vegan. And then that actually kind of led to, like, I actually, when she went to the toilet, I bought bacon fries because it was starting to get a bit too noisy in there. So I was getting a little bit kind of like, I find I struggle when it's kind of loud in the background. So I was finding it really hard to concentrate on her voice. So I said,
as in, like, you kind of get distracted or like overstimulated?
Overstimulated. I just said, like, if you don't mind, like, can we go, to another bar, just a bit quieter? And she was like, yeah, no problem. I cracked out the bacon fries. Then we got to the new bar. She was delighted with that.
Kind of bacon fries are vegan, are they?
Yeah.
That's class.
I know.
I do be trying to make a good few changes myself, and my fella's 2 best friends are vegan, so that's good to know. Well, you wouldn't expect it, would you?
There's loads of stuff, like even barbecue rib flavour Pringles are bloody vegan.
And are other Pringles not vegan?
Yeah, which ones aren't? Paprika aren't, but original are. And then salt and vinegar are. But they change the recipe every now and again, so you have to keep checking. Jesus,
why the fuck would they do that? Like, just, you get a loyal following there with the vegans. Just keep it vegan. But that was good that the 2 of you, I had thought that you were vegetarian. I don't think you had that in your form. And she did say something about her being vegetarian in her form. Anyway, I'm glad to hear you're actually vegan. So that was another thing to add to my list of things that, was a good match. But unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be.
No, like, and I completely understand. Like, it was very much as we were getting on, I was like, this is great. And I was totally like, this is great. And when we were leaving, then I was like, I asked for the phone number. She was like, yeah. Probably in hindsight, she probably just said, yeah, to be polite. And I just said, give me a shout when you get home. We got on our separate buses. I sent a message then just to be like, I had a great time, hope you did too. And then I got the oh, look, sorry, but there was no kind of spark there for her. And I was like, gutted. I was gutted. But, I'd been in like the reverse scenario myself a couple of times. And it's just, sometimes you want to like someone and you don't, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. If it's not there, it's not there. It's a pity.
Yeah.
So you had told me before that you'd gone on, I think this has happened to you, was it twice? It's kind of different stories, if you want to fill us in.
Yeah, but more or less like almost carbon copies, except in one case, I was getting off the bus in town and texting the whole way in on the bus, being like, oh, I'm 20 minutes away, and, everything like that was good. And then I get off the bus. This was a first date.
Yeah.
And this was like years and years ago when I first went on the apps. That was grand. Like, I'm just about to get off my stop, sent that message. And then when I got off, I was like, grand, I'll find my way and start walking. And then I checked to see, was there a message there? And there wasn't. And I was like, the icon had gone, or the profile picture on WhatsApp had gone. And at the time, I didn't know what that meant. And I was kind of like, oh, and then the messages wouldn't deliver. And I was like, this is odd. I like proper, like I was restarting the phone. I was like, something wrong with the app. And I was still going to the place. That was grand. And then nothing was going through. I was like, right, I'll get her on Tinder, which is where we had kind of matched. No sign of her on Tinder. I was like, oh, and then it was starting to kind of set in like this wasn't right. And then I defaulted then to like just an SMS text message.
Yeah.
And I just kind of said like, oh, like I can't see on either of the apps, what's going on. And that was it. Like I just didn't hear her.
And did you go to the pub that you were meant to meet at?
It was a good bit away. So I was kind of halfway there. And then I kind of stopped coming to the realization of what was happening. And I was like, oh, I just kind of went and got something to eat for myself because I was starving. And then just got on the bus home. And
fuckers are out there like, what the fuck?
I know. But I think like I was telling you, like, was a couple of months ago, she then popped up on Tinder again. And I recognized her. She tried to match with me on Tinder.
So, and did you accept it? Like, as in, you probably had Tinder Gold, did you? You saw that she had swiped right.
If I wanted to be petty, I could be like, what the hell? But I just...
No, there's no point giving any of your time. No. But, like, she had the chance once, the absolute cretin, like, really should be named and shamed. Like, if you had one of those, are we dating the same... girl, pages and fucking put blaster up there. Like, there's no excuse for that shit, like, male or female. How long were you talking to her before she did that?
Oh, like a couple of weeks.
Oh,
so like that kind of put me off for a while, and then it actually made me a bit more cautious with stuff, which was kind of to my detriment with dating, because sometimes girls would be like, "Oh, he's not interested," and then they'd be gone, because I'd be kind of wanting to like get to know someone a bit better. I can understand why
that happened to you then as well.
Yeah, more or less the same. Texting an awful lot. And then it came to the day of. I'd been talking to her, say, the night before. She said she was going out for a drink with like a couple of friends. And then I kind of text her in the morning to be like, oh, how's your head? Are you still okay for tonight? Blah, blah, blah. Obviously, this time around, I knew the crack. I saw the profile picture disappear and I was like, all right. So I was just kind of like, that's odd.
So this time you hadn't left the house, basically.
No, it was the morning of, kind of.
Like, those people who just can't deal with it. Like, she didn't want to say, like, whatever, she was in a bad way, too hungover, wasn't arsed going in for a date in town, like, didn't want to have to deal with any potential, not that there would be backlash, but anything like that, and thought life is just easier if you just block them. And I just think there's a real weakness in those people.
Well, I think it's too easy if you haven't met somebody. There's that disconnect of like, are they a real person until I've met them?
And people will say you don't owe anybody anything, it's just online. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? They are real people who are out there who've put their time and effort into this.
Yeah, like I would say you owe people at least like some sort of common courtesy. Even once again, she popped up on the apps there and liked me. And then I matched for her. Done it. Yeah, and so I matched for her. And I was like, oh, like, do you not remember me? And she's like, oh, what? And then I reminded her, and she just, she was like, oh, yeah, that must have been however long ago. And then that was the end of that conversation.
Oh, Jesus, mortal for them, like. But and how's everything going for you now? How's all the dating? Any updates? Anything wild or exciting on the apps?
Yeah, like I had another date since with a girl who seemed lovely. We exchanged actually a small gift when we met each other, just because she was vegan as well, and we were kind of swapping.
Yeah, cute.
And that was grand. And once again, I was like, I was kind of looking at her going like, she is way out of my league. Like, she's gorgeous. And she was lovely. And she had her shit together. The date was great. And texting her all evening, because once again, I asked for the number, got the number, texting all evening. I was in work that night. So I was texting her up until about 11 o'clock. She was like sending me pictures of her with her dogs on the couch and stuff like that. And I was like, great. So I was working the next 2 nights. So I was on opposite kind of schedule to her. While I was asleep, she was obviously awake, and then vice versa.
Right.
So I didn't text her, I would say Sunday. So we met, say, on the Saturday, text all day, nothing on Sunday. And then on Monday, when I finished my shift, I was like, oh, like, how's it going? Send a picture of my dog. And like, we were down at my parents' house then. And she kind of came back with, oh, you're still there. I was like, what do
Mm.
you mean? And she's like, well, do you normally go 2 full days without talking to someone after a first date? I was like, well, it was only yesterday. And I was like, I didn't want to be texting you while you were asleep and I was awake and, you know, all of that. And she said she had higher expectations or standards or whatever it
Yeah,
was. And I kind of like, I apologized and I said, look, I just didn't want to be texting you at odd hours. And also part of me didn't want to seem too eager.
that's
That
it. Is it
was,
gone?
that was the end of that.
Oh, for
I
fuck's
kind of said
sake.
like, I didn't realize it was an issue. I kind of thought I was giving you a bit of time to think.
But so come here.
No,
You went on the date at what time on Saturday?
it would have been like kind of lunchtime.
Right. Okay. So then you were texting all after that into the night time, said
Into the night.
goodnight, and then text her again at
Mm.
what time on Monday?
Only about 2 o'clock. So like I would have woken up at about 1 o'clock on the Monday after
Right.
the night shift.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Right. So we're talking just over 36 hours there. So I can understand both sides. I would kind of be
yeah,
with
yeah,
her on the whole, like things are very precarious after, like your first date. If you've gotten ghosted or whatever a few times and they all talk about the second date or whatever, but then they go quiet, she probably thought that you had disappeared and then you came back, and maybe just a
yeah.
little heads up like, oh sorry, I'm on the night shift the next 2 nights.
So she knew I was on the night shifts. That was kind of why we arranged to meet during the day because I was like, look, I'm going to be on nights the next couple of nights, so I won't. Whatever
Yeah.
way, I kind of work where I'm doing either nights or days on weekends for 2 weekends in a row, and then I have my weekends off. Because I did like her, I was like, I'm gonna, get up extra early after my first night shift to meet you for lunchtime.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh,
It's a pity. It is a pity because you did like her, but and like, come
yeah,
here,
but I
these night
also,
shifts. Then you're working during the night, but like, you can't. You're obviously sleeping kind of during the day, but is there not?
yeah,
There's no possibility of texting during these shifts, no.
I go into work and I'd say from about 7 until 11 or 12 at night, like those are my busy hours, and then after that, it's kind of like I can start to sit down and kind of have a look
Right.
at my phone. It's
Well,
it's
focus.
not like,
Maybe in the future, I think it's best to send them a text while they're asleep, and just so they know that you haven't disappeared. Fuck, I know. Sometimes
yeah,
you can't
yeah,
win. God bless you.
yeah. Like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. So
But Stephen, that was great. Thank you so much. And I hope now if somebody else pops up, I'll give you a shout. And
yeah,
best of luck on the apps. Keep us all updated on how you're going.
yeah. Of course, it's a bit of a hellscape going back.
I know.
Sometimes
Um,
like you're seeing the same people, and you're going, "Why are you still here?" And they're going, "Why am I still here?"
Aisling from Dublin. Aisling, the type of fella that you were looking for. Now, you had a few things on the list that I thought that I had ticked off, right? So
Mhm.
it was like brown hair, brown eyes. You liked somebody who was passionate about things, or as you said, you were particularly against people who were homophobic or discriminatory. There was a few things like that, and I knew that
Yeah.
those boxes were ticked. What else kind of were you looking for?
Yeah, so I think we're just looking for someone who's really kind, who is, yeah, I'm be pretty politically active myself, so political apathy is a bit of a turn
Mm-hmm.
off. And then, yeah, I do like I enjoy traveling and the likes of someone who's a bit adventurous as well.
Very good. And what's your background? How long are you single?
Yeah, so I was living with a partner. We were together 4 years until the pandemic, which I think was a real do or die moment for a lot of
Well, true.
yeah, relationships. So we broke up May of 2020. And then I completely swore off men, went completely celibate for 2 years and just really enjoyed being single.
Oh,
Um, yeah, and then I went away traveling for 7 months. And that was, I had a lot of fun and a lot of, sort of easygoing, like no commitment, no stress, little
yeah.
dalliances. And then after that, when I came home, I was like, right, I'm ready to date seriously again. So I've been dating kind of seriously for about a year and a half.
Very good. Okay. And have you been on the apps? Bumble, Tinder, Hinge?
Oh yeah, I've done them all. Probably less so on Tinder. It's a little bit of a cesspit, I think, these days.
Oh,
Um,
Tinder was like, I think probably that's where I got most of my dates. Bumble, I just felt men barely ever replied. And I respect Hinge. I just think it's a more serious Tinder. But
yeah, I
yeah,
think I remember the last time I was on the apps that Tinder was the place to go, but I don't know, this time I just found it yeah, it was the bottom of the barrel kind of stuff. But Bumble is probably where I get most of my dates actually.
no way. Interesting.
Mm.
And now this date anyway, so I match made you. There was a few things now. I know you had commented and said that maybe your type was the gay little boyfriend trend on TikTok.
Yeah. I'm a
And then I
fiend.
looked it up and I was like, okay, I know exactly what she's talking about. I don't think this fella could fit into that trend, but he would be, he has a lot of what am I going to say now? He's not an activist
Great.
like you, but he had a lot of strong morals, I would say.
Yeah, and actually, do you know, and I'll say this up front because I felt so bad. I was saying to you earlier that I'm a bit of a scatty person, and I showed up half an hour late to the date because I got the time wrong.
Oh,
And
for
I just
fuck's sake.
I felt so bad because of course he had no way to contact me. So he
I
was just
totally
like,
forgot
am I
about
just
that.
sat here like a mug waiting for someone who's not coming? And I just sauntered on up at 1:30, like happy out, like literally. And I'd actually arrived a little bit early, so I like did a couple of walks. Well, early for my late time. I did a little couple of walks around the building and around the area just to be like, oh, I don't want to be too early.
Oh
And he
my
was
God, and you were
like,
already
where's
half an hour late.
someone? I know. I felt horrendous, but I feel like maybe I got karma came back upon me because later on, a guy was walking past, he spilled a full pint on me. So I was
During the
like, right,
date.
that's what I get. That's what I get for my time, my lack of timeliness.
Tardiness.
Yeah, exactly.
I
But
was actually, and when that was going on, I totally forgot about that. But I was on day two of a wedding, and I was
mm,
stuck to the bed. So you were meant to meet at 7, and you
yeah.
arrived at 7:30. So at about 10 past, 7:15, I get a message from him to say like, "Oh, I'm not sure if like I'm not seeing her or she's just not here." And like I was like in a bad way. And I really didn't want to go to this day too. Like I was stuck to the bed and like I knew I was going to have to get up. But then I was like, oh my God, this is one for the books. She's not turning up for the date. And I was thinking, oh fuck, like, do you know what's happening? I think I emailed you, did I?
Yeah, no, you did. And I hate that because it's so you're putting yourself in such a vulnerable position when you go dating. And
But he
you
sent a message saying it was all right. But you're right,
yeah,
it
I
is
know, but
vulnerable.
I hate to spark that anxiety in anyone because it is like dating's anxiety ridden anyway. And for the most part, I try and make it as kind as like an experience as possible.
True. Yeah,
So
you're
yeah,
right.
I was mortified then, but anyway, I got the pint spilled on me, so I was like, right, maybe we're kind of on on equal foot now.
And what stage
But
of the date did you get the pint spilled on you? Were you actually
I
like
think
wet?
no, yeah, no, like my jeans were sodden.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
in fairness, he bought us 2 pints as an apology. Um, we just have to laugh. But yeah, no, it was a really lovely date. We had a few drinks at Mulligan's, and then we went to another bar that he suggested that was around the corner because I think Mulligan's was a bit rowdy for him. But he was lovely, and I can see why on paper there's so many things that were right. He's a really gorgeous person. And we had really interesting conversations and had loads of things similar, right down to the fact that we both have sisters living in Whistler in Canada, which is very
Mad.
specific. But for me, there just wasn't the spark that was there. And I had a lovely time, but it just wasn't more than friendship for me. So
Oh yeah.
it's just
Well, sure,
those
look, it happens.
things with dating where, sometimes it just doesn't, the light switch doesn't turn on.
Yeah, it's sure. I know you can't blame yourself, you can't blame anybody. Just these things happen.
I know. And I think sometimes, women maybe sometimes are socialized, or I would think when I was younger, was maybe socialized to like not pay attention to that part of it, like sexual attraction and what was going on in my body. And I think it took me a long time to learn to like listen to my body. So now
Yeah.
it's like an important thing when I go on dates. And it's a shame that it took until my 30s to get there, but we're here now. So, it is something to be listened to too.
Yeah,
But
some
he
people
was a
do.
really lovely, gorgeous man.
And you had lots to talk about and everything. I'm finding that a lot now with the matchmaking. There's kind of one person who was like, oh yeah, definitely, would have loved a second date. And then the other person was saying, you know, had a really lovely time. They were a really nice person, but, just wasn't feeling the spark. And I'm just fecking waiting for the two people to say, yes, it's been unlucky.
I know. I think it's also maybe part of a feature of like internet dating and blind dating, because you can look at a photo of someone, but there is like a chemistry that happens in person. And I don't know if it's pheromones or like what it is, but you don't know, like, if you meet someone in the real world, you kind of have a sense of if that's there before a date. But when you're internet dating, you show up and you're like, you have no sense of whether that sort of frizz-on is
Yeah,
even like,
no, I agree.
yeah.
And somebody suggested to me before about like, out of the 55 first dates that I went on, like, would you not have gone on any or done any video calls beforehand? And I would agree that I would be able to tell something from the video call, but it's just not for me. I feel like that's maybe for an older person. But I definitely would have, whittled out a lot of people and been able to think from a video, oh, maybe there is something there. Maybe I'll go on an actual date.
Yeah.
But
I'm not quite at 55 first dates, but I'm probably teetering around 30. So we're getting there.
you may set up TikTok, Aisling.
Well, what I did actually, I don't know if you saw last year on TikTok, a lot of people did the trend of dating wrapped at the end of the year.
Oh, did you do it?
Yeah, I did one. So I did a PowerPoint presentation of that, because I'm actually a graphic designer as well. So I did a 15 slide PowerPoint of the data analytics of my dating year in 2023 for the gals at the end of the year.
Oh, deadly. I may have a look at that now, especially because you're a graphic designer. I'd say it looked class.
That was good fun to do, yeah.
And tell me now, where are you at now with the dating, the love life? What's going on?
So, do you know, you actually messaged me in the middle of a dating break. So since April, I've been taking a big break from dating because I think I was really burnt out. I had a lot of, like, seeing people for maybe like 4 to 6 dates that would sort of, go one way, like obviously didn't work out. And I think I was just really exhausted. And I also was finding that like men aren't always the best, or the men that I was dating anyway, weren't the best at communicating what they wanted out of dating. So got very burnt out, got to April and I was like, right, I'm going to take the summer off and just have a nice time, hang out with the girls' gays and days and not think about it too much. So I did come out of dating retirement for the date that you sent me on, but I'm still, I think I'm going to wait another little bit before I just don't feel ready to go back to proper dating yet.
Well, fair play to you. I appreciate you coming out of retirement for that one date. But yeah, no, I respect that you do need the break. I have taken a few good chunks, like multiple month breaks, a few times over it was like, what was it? 2.5 years, 2 years or whatever. But yeah, it'll be tough. It's tough going on the mental health, but I wish you the best of luck, and I've no doubt that there's a lovely little gay boyfriend out there for you.
I hope so. And thanks for taking the time to read all my bits and put me on a date. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. If I find anybody who fits the bill again, I'll give you a shout.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Aisling. Tune in 2 weeks' time for the second part of this episode, where Erika will be offering advice to questions that some of you have sent in, tips for meeting people in real life, but also changing your negative attitude towards the apps. She also gives tips on choosing the best dating app pictures, and of course we talk to another blind date couple. If you'd like to appear, if you want to collab, if you have a story for the pod, do get in touch. thedatingorange@gmail.com. Gurama.